Whoa! Welcome to the What's Already podcast. We fashion ourselves cinematic judge and jury. My name's JJ Crowder. I'm here with my co-hosts, Mattson Heiner.
Shoo! You better read the name, folks. It's good to be back on the old podcast.
Alec Burgess.
Somehow I'm the redneck. Let's get it.
I didn't even know what the fuck you just said, like half the end. It was great.
I said it was better to be back on here, the podcast, JJ. I'm so excited that you back and your back is doing better.
Yeah, me too. I'm glad to be back. Yeah.
Welcome to Con Air.
That's right. We appreciate you tuning in. Go ahead, hit that follow, subscribe, like, bell notification buttons. Helps you keep up with the podcast. Tell a friend about us. Tell a family member about us. Tell Con about us.
Please don't.
I mean, I'm sure we got a few that listen, so I like them.
Hey, listen away.
Maybe not to the level of some of them in this movie. Like, I don't need a Steve Buscemi character.
Oh no, he's the best one. He can
That's funny. So yeah, we are in week 2 of Nicolas Cage films.
Nick Cage.
And we're doing Con Air, as you can see from our lovely little graphic there. It was released June 6th, 1997. It was written by Scott Rosenberg. It was directed by Simon West. It stars, here we go, Nicolas Cage, John Cusack, John Malkovich, Cole Meany, McKelty Williamson, Nick Chinland, Renoli Santiago, Ving Rhames, Rachel Ticotin, David Chappelle, Steve Easton, and Steve Buscemi. There's more, but I'm done. That's a big list.
And a great one at that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about a newly paroled ex-con and former U.S. Ranger Cameron Poe finds himself trapped in a prisoner transport plane when the passengers seize control. Fucking Con Air. All right, Mattson, this is your shit show. I need to know why you picked this other than to torture my ass.
You know what's funny about this movie? I have never seen the whole thing until I watched it the other day.
That makes a lot of sense.
I knew this, but I was like, as I was thinking, I was like, I've seen this movie so many times on TV, the beginning of it, but I was like, I don't think I've ever made it to the end. And I know I did, because then we got the parts, I was like, I've not seen this before. I'd only seen like the scenes on the plane, like the beginning when the prisoners take over. And it just kept getting more outlandish as the movie went on. And I was like, oh, okay, like we're really going there, and we're really going there, and we're ending in Vegas and basically trying to blow up the strip. And this is interesting. So it was a journey, because I didn't really know what to expect after the part that I saw. But what I remember, because I'd seen this movie at least a few times on TV to the points I saw when I was younger, and it was just iconic because Nick Cage looks dumb, and he talks real dumb. His accent is horrible. But there's so many other good actors in there, and like I liked each of the criminal personalities. The show does many things wrong, but the introduction to each of them and like the little stories they give and how they work together. When I was younger, I thought that was hella interesting. And to this day, I still do, having watched it again. But this movie's not without many flaws. But is it an entertaining ride to a certain extent? Yeah. Did I know it was going to torture JJ and most likely Alec? I might have known that.
I can't. That's fair. It's a fair. So I was 16 when this movie came out, and I saw it because I was 16. And
what'd you do in 97 at 16? Ain't much things to do.
Exactly. We went to movies and did illegal things.
Yes.
Dude, even as a 16-year-old, I left going, that movie was bad. It's so bad. And it is only aged worse. Because at least in the 90s, like these over-the-top, ridiculous action movies were like the thing, right? So they were constant. And Nick Cage was in a lot of them Face Off, which when I loved Face Off because the concept was so weird and interesting and different, but that movie didn't hold up either. Casey was like, well, let's watch Face Off. Put that on 20 minutes in. I'm like, fuck, I used to like this movie. What is wrong with me? It's terrible. And this is one too that I think, like, if you're honest with yourself, and the nostalgia is real, right? Like, if you love this movie as a kid, you're going to love it to a certain degree as an adult, because that's just how it works. I didn't love this movie as a kid, and as an adult, fuck, I'd rather sit in a 90-degree room than watch this movie again.
No, you wouldn't.
That's
No, you
true.
wouldn't.
Let's make it happen.
Let's
Yeah.
enact that real quick, because we are here to make that happen. 30 seconds in, you'd be like, do we have Con Air?
It's probably pretty true. But it's a nice concept. But that's how bad it is that I would be willing to see if I could last. Because it's bad. But the 97 was like the year of Nick Cage, because that was the same year Face Off. In fact, I think it came out like the same month.
What makes it bad, JJ? Because you've said a lot of like generic and high level things, but I'm curious what grates on you.
Well, you mentioned it. First of all, Nick Cage grates on me in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, okay, let's just get it out in the open. Everybody loves Nick Cage. He's not a great actor. Let's go ahead and just get that shit out there. He has things.
How dare you?
I know, right? He has movies where that works for him. Okay. National Treasure is a great example of that. The massive weight of that one works
perfect
for him in that, because it's actually saying he's a shitty actor. Like, it's just one of those things where he's not a great actor. I still to this day am blown away by the amount of movies part of it is his family, whether he wants to admit it or not, and he changes his name so he's not attached to it, but his family's a big player, a part of it. And for some reason, Jerry Bruckheimer in the 90s thought this dude could do no wrong. You got Face Off, you got this, you got The Rock. Like, Jerry Bruckheimer's like, let's get Nick Cage in a movie. We'll make it an action movie where we'll give him a shitty accent regardless of what it is. But that's one thing. Nick Cage drives me crazy in this movie. That Southern accent is fucking horrid. And his hair, don't even get me fucking started on his hair. Like, it's just like, could you have you ever seen the Adam Sandler movie Just Go With It, where he takes all I can think about is the bass player when he's like making fun of the dudes like Fu Manchu and like doing this with it. That's what his hair. I'm like, that wig, it's special. That, and then typical Nick Cage fashion, he's the worst actor in this film. Like, this cast is outrageous in this movie. And I go, okay, the 90s were different, but how did we get Malkovich, Ving Rhames, John Cusack, the Cole Meany? We had some really, really Buscemi. Jesus, like, these are all very highly acclaimed, award-winning actors. And then you have Cage,
our Lord and Savior.
Yeah, running the show in a wife beater and a shitty wig. Like, it just kills me, with more forehead than I've ever seen in my life. And then, not to mention, like, the plot alone. Like, first of all, what kind of fucking dumbass says, oh, it's a great idea to put the most dangerous criminals on Earth at the time in the same fucking plane?
See, that just sounds like a government operation to me.
That's fair. I mean, I feel like it's like snakes on a plane with humans. Like, it's just, you're like, no, it's not going to happen. Knock it the fuck off. And then you have like this ridiculous shit. Like, first of all, plane taking off with a fucking Corvette attached to the back of it. While funny, nope. And then the shit that people survive. And one of my favorite moments of this, because it's so bad, is that really bitchin' moment when Nick Cage shoves a fucking broken stick through John Malkovich's ankle, and then Malkovich proceeds to walk on it afterwards. I'm like, that went through his ankle all the way. by like 8 inches. You see the amount of stick he had to pull out of there? And then he's just hopping around on the ladder, not just walking, but on a fucking ladder. Get the fuck out of here. The amount of unrealistic shit in this film adds to the terrible
AJ, have
lead.
you heard of a thing called
Ugh.
adrenaline? Maybe he just was full
Nope.
of it.
Adrenaline does not make shit that's that broken work. It can numb some pain, but it doesn't say, oh, you just had a fucking 2-inch stick through your leg. Don't worry about it. You just walk on that ladder like it's nothing. Oh, God. It's just so bad. And then they all survive like the plane fucking crash in Vegas. He survives going through the catwalk attached to a ladder, like full of glass and metal. But you know, he's well enough to climb onto another vehicle. Fuck, it's just, no, get out of here. Horrid.
Alec, go.
A lot of the same stuff, but what got me was like he's supposed to be a ex-Army Ranger. Where's his motherfucking tattoo?
That's fair.
I don't know if it's not something they did, but typically now if you have a character who plays a Ranger, they got a tattoo up there. No tattoo anywhere, not even a fake one, which I would have been okay with at some point. And then it goes back to the inconsistencies, right? This is a true 90s action flick. Because John Cusack is like, yeah, no guns on the plane, right? I have a small arsenal in the belly of the plane. I'm thinking like 2 shotguns, right? Because that's a small arsenal. No, they were pulling out like a full-on armory.
Yeah.
When it was time to go to the boneyard. So it was little things like that. I was like, that's a lot of guns for a little arsenal. Like, I wouldn't imagine you put more guns on the plane than you had, guards. But man, that was quite a lot of heavy machinery there. So it was little things like that where I was kind of sitting there going, huh? In addition to everything else. But yeah, I've never really liked this movie. I mean, it's a good one for explosions. I like the explosions.
There are some explosions.
But there's just so much where I'm like, oh, this is so dumb.
Okay, there's 2 other moments now that you've been talking about that. So the DEA agent on the plane, what the fuck is he gonna do with that pea shooter?
Yeah.
And you take a hostage, like any of them are gonna give a shit. Like before we get to this point, the dude is they're making jokes about the freaking dude with the roses on his arm. I'm like, they don't care about this dude. And then it's that point's just reinforced when they find him in the fucking belly of the plane. Oh, that's what happened to him. And then the other one is that kill box that the fucking police get out of their vehicles in. Why the boneyard? Let's just stop in the middle.
Yeah.
Jeez. Kills me.
It's a really well thought out ambush, JJ.
But, yeah. John Malkovich is a genius.
Yeah. It's so obvious we're going to get shot up in there. There's no way they're going to do it.
He just willed those dumbasses to get out of their freaking tanks.
I mean, the part of it when what's the South American gangster? What's that character's name? I don't remember. The one that gets on the plane trying to get away, and then Cusack's character somehow gets ahead to the crane, and it goes down. Like, how's that thing even working? In second, how do you know how to work that? Like, I'm not saying it's overly complicated, but you didn't have literally any time to know if you did or didn't know how to work it. You just made it. It's those things, because I hadn't seen the rest of it out, and as the movie progressed, I was like, oh, we're just gonna assume that everyone's like Superman, and every explosion has to be like 10 times crazier than it needs to be, and all these things. And it's a 90s movie. It fits the genre. So like no one's surprised there, but no, like it's not a great movie. But man, the supporting cast, like the dude that plays the creepy, who's the guy that plays the creepy serial killer?
Buscemi, Steve
Oh
Buscemi.
man, like dude crushed that role. He was weird, creepy. They should put him in some full-time role with that in a movie because
It's literally every role he's ever played.
Yeah, everything
Yeah,
he's in, he
well,
stands out.
he stands out. But then I'm thinking about this one, it's just like, man, he did such a good job in the scene with him with the little girl at the table. And I totally, because I hadn't seen it, I was like, oh my gosh, did he just do another thing? And he didn't. She was still alive. But like, then that comment he made about I drove through 3 states with the girl's face on my head or whatever. It's like,
Wearing her head as a hat.
you're like, oh yeah, thanks for sharing that. I liked when I was littler, I liked that even amongst the criminals, they were afraid or like thought someone was weird or icky, like, because that's real life to an extent. Or they had their line where like the rapist, for instance, like even John Malkovich's character, clearly he was like, no, I've got. It was just interesting to see the moral lines about what was totally gray versus what was black and white, and I liked all that when I was little. And I think each of those characters does such a good job in the movie, and I like what they bring. Even like Dave Chappelle's character Pinball, I thought he was like, I'll say this, like I thought Chappelle was pretty good for like his little, for what he was in the movie. I was like, man, he's got some acting chops. And I know he was in a lot of things back then. I was like, props to him, he did good. And I think that's where the enjoyment of this comes from, is the initial introduction to all of them and how their ecosystem kind of worked. Yes, it's not realistic. Don't put all the same people on the same plane. Like, what are you doing? But it was enjoyable once you got to learn and know about them. But then after that, that's kind of where I stopped watching once the plane was taken over and whenever they did their first exchange. And then it's just like it got cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and I can fully admit to that. But I really liked the initial beginnings of this movie because I think they had something there, minus Nicolas Cage just looking like a buffoon. But the rest of it, to a certain extent, I really liked.
I love the cast. Malkovich is one of my favorite actors, period, and he kills it in this as Cyrus the Virus. No matter how ridiculous it gets, he's amazing to watch. Ving Rhames is another one that doesn't get enough credit because he's not like a leading guy, but he has everything he does. He chews up scenery when he's on the screen. And Buscemi, to your point, like I always think of this movie when I think Buscemi, I think of this one. I think of all the Adam Sandler's movies where he's crazy eyes. And then I think of another absolutely horrific movie, Armageddon.
Yeah, Armageddon. Yeah, I was gonna say
where he's fantastic as Rockhound, right? Like I just love him. But that's Buscemi. He steals again. He's a scene stealer in anything that he's in because he's that good. But that's this one, and I said it during Raising Arizona that Nick Cage movies, he's always surrounded by phenomenal actors. This might be the peak of him being surrounded by phenomenal actors. The other one that's close is The Rock. That one had some outrageous supporting cast with him as well. But this one I think is the most loaded, in my opinion, of all of his movies. And it shows because there are moments when the movie slows down and they're having conversations where I'm like, that's a pretty good scene until Cage opens his fucking mouth. And then I'm like, that ruined it. But
put the bunny back in the box.
So bad. And I'm just like, what are you doing? And the amount of the other one that bothers me, and this is again probably really stupid for me to bitch about, but you have this whole plot point with Bubba Gump being a diabetic, right? And it's all I can think of. Like,
oh, you think of
like
too.
No shade to McKelty Williamson because I love him. He's great, but all I ever see is Bubba.
He did a good job. It's not his fault. He's just
for being blue. Like fucking Bubba. That's all I think of. Anyway, but he's got type 1 diabetes, right? He needs his insulin. The whole thing is he's dying because he doesn't have an insulin. And he lasts a few hours, right? And then they get him the insulin, and then he's okay. And then he gets himself shot. That's not a situation where a diabetic survives. Like, I realize gut shots are things that you can survive typically, depending as long as you're not hitting any vital organs, but not a diabetic who's bleeding out. Like, because you're losing everything that you just injected with the insulin. And I was like, he's toast. Like, I don't want him to die. I like Bubba, but he's gonna die. And I love Baby O too. Like, he's cool in this movie. I like him. But that it bothers me so much that I lose track of the rest of the movie. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm actually watching fucking terrible Nick Cage movie. I forgot that I'm so bothered by the fact that this dude survives a gunshot with type 1 diabetes and no additional insulin. I'm like, stop it.
Plenty of insulin, no needles.
Yeah, well, that too. Yeah, I mean, I'm like, what's he doing? Chugging this shit? Like, how does he survive that? Anyway, it's rough. It's rough. But to your point, I can't think of very many 90s action movies, especially Bruckheimer produced or directed 90s action movies, or Jerry Bruckheimer directed action movies in general, that aren't this. They're ridiculous. Armageddon. it's another one. Bruckheimer. Ridiculous. And it just, I don't know. But they have their entertainment value for some. This one just doesn't work for me. Though Cage is ripped. I'll give him credit in this movie. He is a physically fit human being. And then you see his hair, and I'm like, stop it.
True representation of Fabio.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did him dirty with that. I was like, oh man, like maybe just make a different decision. But it's for me, it's really when they get to that airfield, and then from there, going into Vegas and everything, things just take kind of a wild turn and just get so crazy that you're just like, yeah, this just isn't that real. And John Cusack's character, while he would be happy that they caught most people, they didn't find Steve Buscemi's character, the serial killer. Like, they're all like talking like, oh, all is well. Like, freaking the F other dudes out there, and all these other people, like, they're rounding them up. I was like, this is way too calm, and you would be terrified because like at least a couple hundred civilians are either injured or some of them are dead. And you're not feeling good about your life right now. And we're just like feeling good because the family got reunited, and
Yeah.
it's just easy to gloss those things over. And to their credit though, I would say it was good to see that it wasn't an immediate loving reunion for a daughter that had never seen her father. At least they like tried to play it off a little bit more authentic, because I was like, she's gonna be freaking terrified.
Yeah. And you still give her the bunny.
Yeah, I was like, maybe just don't give her the bunny.
And you're in Vegas, for fuck's sake. There's gonna be stuffed animals everywhere. Like go in and get one. You don't need money. Everyone's worried about the plane that just wrecked the entire fucking strip.
You'll be fine.
And I don't think they're gonna send you back to jail if you swipe one, because you just saved the day.
I want him to go
Kind
back
of.
and be like, when the wife sees him and they hug, and she's like, honey, what about the hair? She's like, and
Yeah.
think Cage could be like, oh, shucks, honey, I'll cut it when we get home.
Why are you so good at that impression? Like, it's like your voice drops 2 octaves, and it's the worst Southern accent
And then
ever.
she's like,
Fucking great.
honey, put the bunny back in the box. No, baby, I've been waiting a long time for this bunny to come out.
Wow, that sounded way dirtier than it should have. I'm surprised that they didn't go with some sort of line of like, let's go see a barber. But I think they were trying to make it seem like that hair was cool. He's got like a 12 head and then like a shit ton of hair in the back. I'm like, what the fuck? And I know they have barbers in jail, so what the fuck is he doing? Like, anyway, you can't show up for your little daughter.
Mama, I'm a real boy.
All right, Alec, I see you pontificating something in your head there.
I was just thinking about maybe I need to go get a haircut. Damn.
Alec, does your hair touch your butt?
No, it did for a while.
Oh, wait,
Nice.
man.
But then chopped off quite a bit of it. It grows like a fucking weed. Like if he was see, here's the thing. He was going to a barber and leaving it like that in jail. Because he was in there for 7 years.
True.
His hair would have been a whole lot longer.
That's fair. His 5-head gobbled some
So
of it up.
it was a style choice.
Yeah, yours is fine. You only have a 5-head because you wear that bandana. Can't see your scalp line, dude. That's
No, I mean, there's not much to like in Con Air, but there's also not much to really hate. That makes a whole lot of sense. Like, I really enjoy John Cusack and Cole Meany.
yeah, that's funny too.
Their back and forth is great. Different style of acting that just works to be completely antagonistic towards each other. Kind of falling back into the little bit of, the unbelievable realm. Nobody thought to check Cyrus's cell, like, ever. Like, I feel like this dude had a lot of stuff.
Yeah, where did he get the supplies? The plastic was like, this is a level 5 security max, like Woo-Wah prison, and how's he doing that?
Oh shit!
Yeah, so it was, I mean, their performance was like back and forth was really great, and I enjoyed that. But there was just so much that was happening around them. Where I was like, okay, first of all, DEA and U.S. Marshals have to have a better working arrangement than this. So as much as I love the fact that they can't get along for more than 5 seconds, it was a little bit. I don't think you really needed that to push the movie along. If that makes any sense. You could have gotten to the same place just by working together. Because, like, if DEA and Marshals are going to fight, what's the point of hiding the transponder? You can find another way to go about it. Or, if you're going to hide the transponder in plane, have them just go after the transponder.
Yeah. Well, I just love then you wouldn't have the combat choppers going up against the fucking Grand Canyon tour guide. Like,
Grand scenic tours.
Jesus.
I like that part, but I'm also happy with my I need to come up with a prison rating system, and clearly Woo-Wah prison is the worst one. Y'all got Woo-Wah prison out there.
Well, where did he get the materials to make a liquid mixing bomb? And like,
what kind of prison is this?
Yeah, Anyway, there was one more moment that always makes me laugh. Is like the 15 convicts and the derelict ass tractor that pull out a jumbo fucking damn near C-130 out of a fucking dirt pit. Like, I'm like, that tractor wouldn't even. Like, are you shitting me? The tractor's not even as big as the tires on that plane. And them and 15 guys and some ropes pulled it out of the fucking dirt. Get the fuck out of here. All while having a gunfight in the fucking in the trench of the. So bad.
The boneyard.
That whole airfield scene from start to finish, other than Steve Buscemi, where they make you uncomfortable thinking he's going to take out the girl. I'm like, fuck. I do love when they're crashing and he's singing the whole world. He's got the whole
They're like, who is this guy?
This fucking guy. But all I can think about is fucking Armageddon when he's singing on the way down. Like, anyway, good shit. All right, should we rate this thing?
Let's do it.
Mattson, it's yours. Get this shit on the road.
Yeah, I'll give this movie. I'll give this movie. Give it a 2.5. Now, having seen it all the way through, to me, this movie starts strong. Like I said, I love the introduction to the characters. I think the criminal ecosystem is really interesting and extremely well acted. Nick Cage is a distractor. The supporting cast is awesome. But then as the story becomes, you understand more about it, how it's put together, what they're trying to do, what it turns out to be. It's like we talked about. It's a 90s movie that goes off the rails and goes off the rails in a big and kind of bad way. It's just a victim of what movies were back then from an action standpoint. Most action movies back then, we know it, they weren't all very good. There's a few that rise above, but many of them are this, and they're not bad, but it's a product of what was. And I think Alec kind of said it best. It's you don't love it, you don't hate it, but it's kind of there. And like, I think it's somewhat iconic movie, and it's, in my opinion, it's worth a watch. If you got people around you, watch it for the other actors. I wouldn't watch it for Nick Cage, but if you want to turn it into a Nick Cage drinking game every time he says something dumb and you have a game there and laugh at his hair, probably have a good time doing that too. Put the bunny back in the box.
Oh God. Man, I really want to shit all over this movie with a score. I'm gonna give it a 1.5, and the reason I'm giving it anything other than a 0 is because, as bad as the shit is in this movie, and I've shit all over it this whole time, the acting from the people around Nick Cage, the supporting actor, the main villains, all of that are so entertaining and good and interesting that I wish they could lift and drop them into a good movie, because I would love to see them in something where we could get more of that fleshed out and less of the ridiculous over the top action sequences and set pieces like the Lerner airfield and flying over the Grand Canyon and all that stuff that they had to spend millions on to make happen with explosions. And I think there was the bones of an interesting movie. And I will give Mattson credit. This is an iconic movie. Like, everybody knows fucking Con Air, at least to a certain age group, right? Like, if you grew up in the 90s and early 2000s, you know this fucking movie. You may not like it, but you know it. Someone says Con Air, you're like, Nick Cage, right? On a big ass fucking plane with a bunch of convicts. We know what this movie is, and it's got iconic music, whether you like it or not. So there are parts of this movie that are so recognizable that you can't ignore it as much as I want to. But I can't completely fault the movie for what it is and when it came out. So 1.5, it gets that. All of that score is due to everyone but Nick Cage, and in spite of itself. But I will actively do everything I can to never watch this movie again. So yeah, 1.5 for me. Alec, bring it home.
I will fault this movie for everything that it is and everything that it represents. So, like, to kind of say what Mattson mentioned a couple times in the podcast, is the start to this movie is very, very strong. This movie should be way better than it actually is. Like,
Fair.
Incredibly better than what it actually is. There's so much going for it. Great time period, right? 90s explosions, action sequences. You have a great concept. You know, this is so many different kind of movie plots that are woven into, hey, this big kind of prisoner transfer, which we've seen before, except now we're going to take it up into C-130. And we're going to, see how this rides out. So the roadmap is already there, essentially. And motherfucking Jerry Bruckheimer said, you know what? I'm better than everybody who came before me. So I'm going to give it a 1. I actively will never be watching this ever again.
And it's funny, the stuff that you guys have rated higher than this, that is just absolute dog shiz. The fact that JJ says, if not for the acting, this would be a 0. JJ, do you know the horrible things we've seen? You're telling me this movie, what did you rate Baby Geniuses 2?
I will watch Baby Geniuses 2 1,000 times before I watch Con Air again.
No, you won't, because
I would too.
No, because there's JJ literally fell asleep at the end of this movie. Literally, like, that's a strong statement. That movie is terrible.
Just so you know, I had to wake myself up twice and go backwards to watch the rest of this film yesterday. Like, but when I was awake for Baby Geniuses, it was about the same par. I don't know what I scored it.
No, wait.
I don't remember. Yeah, dude, I find this movie offensive. Like, it's really bad because I find it offensive to.
You want to watch Dolphin Sex more than you want to watch this movie?
No, I gave
every
Dolphin
single day of the week.
I gave Dolphin Sex 0.5, dude. Like, I would definitely watch this before.
I'm just trying to put things.
And I can't sit here and actively say that I'd be like, like, if I was put to a choice between Baby Geniuses 2 and Con Air, it would be a difficult choice. I don't want to watch either of them.
It would be a difficult choice. You're going to subject someone to Baby Geniuses 2 instead of watching Con Air with them? Oh,
every day.
At least I know what I'm getting. When I walk into Con Air, like, I feel like I'm almost offended for Malkovich and Cusack and Rames. Like, I'm like, why the fuck did you do? They had to. It's because they were younger and they were getting their paychecks. But, like, And back then, these movies made millions, no matter how bad they were, because we weren't great movie watchers in the 90s. We just wanted explosions and
boom years.
yeah. So it's like, but yeah, I don't like this movie. And I never have. Like I said, even when I was 16, this movie was stupid. Because I just can't get over the fact. It's just like, who puts a box of fucking snakes on a plane? Who puts a fucking gaggle of criminals? Hardened supermax criminals on a plane.
If that's what you're gonna, oh man, dude, we I don't know if I want to go down the.
Don't say it. Don't even say it. You bring that movie up, and I will punch you in the face the next time.
But you're bringing up all these things where it's.
Well, there's movies that are meant to be ridiculous, and then there's movies that try to be.
See, I know this is what you're gonna say, and I don't care enough about this movie. It's just the principle of it's fine. It's fine. I'll just say.
So anyway, Mattson's dumb. One for me. Never watching it again.
Oh shit! Oh, you made me watch it, dude.
Just wait. We're gonna be watching Pineapple Express one of these days,
dude. You do not want me to talk about that film, because that one I will no mercy shitbox on that film. I hate that movie.
For our listeners, we had a truce between Pineapple Express and OG Bill and Ted, because it will be a bloodbath
on either side. Oh,
and Alec will be in the middle giggling.
Yeah,
it's true, because I'm sure Alec likes both of those movies.
Actually, I don't like Pineapple Express very much.
Makes sense.
There's parts of Pineapple Express I think are hilarious.
But the only reason I like there's only parts of Pineapple Express I like too. Like, I'm not, truthfully, there's
then why are you wanting to make us watch it? Because Bill and Ted is a phenomenal movie.
The original Bill and Ted is
gosh,
epically good.
Most movies of like the Pineapple Express genre, many of those movies, they're only carried by what it probably is the equivalent of like 10 minutes of actual good cinema that's like truly funny. The rest of it is just getting you to the next bit. I
would watch Con Air 100 times before I watch Pineapple Express. Like, I hate that movie. There is nothing there to me. There is no
Alec, we've got a
piece of
JJ in a progressively warmer room while watching Pineapple Express. Charles, I don't know what your job is.
And
Rich,
to make
I don't know
it
what your
stop,
job is.
You have to watch Con Air.
Snuff, I don't know what it is, but let me tell you right now, we can make this happen if the price is right. We'll donate to charity. Look, we don't even need this money. Let's send it to a good cause.
If you agree to this, JJ, I'll do 2 straight months of horror films.
I don't know if it's worth it, dude. Like, I don't know if it's worth it. And I would consider watching Pineapple Express for that, but sitting in a hot room while I'm doing it, that's rough. I don't know. That's a hard one for me. I hate Pineapple Express so much.
To our listeners, just think about this. This could be great.
There's no redeeming quality whatsoever to me in that movie. Like, I watched it one time, and I was so pissed off that I watched it that I almost swore off of all of the people in that movies, because I was like, I can't. Oh, it was so bad. Anyway, there it is. We watched Con Air. We did a thing. We got some more Nick Cage movies coming. I don't know that this month will be any less contentious than it's been the last 2 weeks. But Alec, why don't you tell me where they can find us while they're waiting for round 3?
Happy to. So thank you for tuning into our review of Con Air, a true 90s flick. This is week 2 of our month of Nicolas Cage movies. 5 Mondays this month, which means 5 weeks of glorious, glorious Nick Cage. Shout out to our patrons for the pick, Raging Dumpster Fire, Richard and Mel Brooks, and for your continued support. Patreon is a place to get involved in all What's Our Verdict content with extra content, episodes, behind the scenes shenanigans, and quarterly personalized requests. So join us there at What's Our Verdict Reviews to join our little crew of misfits. And with that, I will kick it back to the Titan of Terror, the Colossus of Clout, a JJ.
Yeah. Thanks, Alec. Yeah, there it is. We got some fun weeks ahead. I think there's only one movie that we might all agree on. The rest might just be.
Is this movie happening next week?
I don't know. I haven't looked. It can.
All right, because if it's the one that has Mattson already watched this movie and put it in a message to us.
Oh, that movie?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, okay.
That movie is not going to be. That's going to be contentious as well. I think the newest movie on the list is the only one that we're all going to
There's
agree
no way you can. I watched interviews of this real. It's just. I don't. Why?
It is beautiful.
Why they let him be that outlandish? Just no. And if I was the guy
Yes.
that he was portraying, I would have been deeply offended.
Anyway, can't wait. Stick around. We'll make that one next week's.
Oh gosh, that's one. Listen to us. Enjoy the laughs. Do not ever. Why? Maybe make JJ watch that again in a hot room.
No thanks.
And
Can't do
JJ's
it.
also gonna have to wear a sweatsuit.
No. Dude, you're trying to fucking kill me. Like, that will be murder when it's done. Like, I will die.
This is jackass level stuff. JJ, you lose like 15 pounds.
Dude, yeah, because I'll die. It's fucking terrible. Oh, shit. I'll be so miserable. I'll be the grumpiest fucker on the planet. Like, I hate being hot. With that, we appreciate you tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one.
Bye.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Cinemagic out.